To become the strongest version of yourself, you must first strip away the illusions you've been taught. The world doesn't reward kindness without strength. It doesn't respect weakness disguised as virtue, and it certainly doesn't bend to those who simply wait their turn. If you want to rise above the crowd, if you want to walk through this life with unshakable power and unbreakable confidence, you must be willing to step into the shadows of human nature. You must understand not only how people act, but why they act, and more importantly, how to use that knowledge to your advantage. This is the philosophy Machiavelli left behind. A philosophy that teaches not how to be loved, but how to be feared and respected. Not how to beg for approval, but how to seize power in silence. Today, I will reveal 12 ruthless rules to becoming the strongest version of yourself, and once you internalize them, you'll never see the world the same way again. Let us begin. The first truth you must accept is that nobody will hand you respect. Respect is not a gift, it is taken. And it is taken by force, not necessarily physical force, but psychological force. When you walk into a room, people decide instantly whether you are above them or below them. That judgment is not based on what you say, but what you project. If you project hesitation, if your eyes dart nervously, if your shoulders cave in, you announce to the world that you are prey. And the predators are always watching. But if you project calm dominance, if your silence is heavier than their words, if you carry yourself like someone who needs nothing from anyone, then suddenly the balance of power shifts. People respect what they fear, and they fear what they cannot control. The strongest version of yourself is not someone who begs for recognition. It is someone who commands it without asking. Now, this doesn't mean arrogance. Arrogance is transparent. Arrogance screams insecurity. The ruthless man knows that the most effective dominance is subtle. You don't need to declare yourself powerful. You simply need to withhold your energy, your validation, your approval. Watch how people chase after what you withhold. That's the first ruthless rule. Master your presence. Presence is power. Learn to weaponize silence, because silence unsettles those who crave attention. And when people are unsettled, you control the game. Machiavelli would tell you, never reveal the full extent of your intentions. Let them wonder, let them whisper, let them project their fears onto your stillness. The strongest man doesn't raise his voice, he lowers it. He doesn't explain himself, he lets others drown in the uncertainty of his thoughts. The second rule is simple. Never show your full hand. You live in a world where everyone is competing for power, and yet most people foolishly reveal everything about themselves, what they feel, what they want, what they fear. They think honesty will earn them trust. But in reality, honesty without boundaries is self-sabotage. The more people know about you, the more weapons they have against you. Think about it. If they know your insecurities, they will exploit them. If they know your desires, they will manipulate you. If they know your weaknesses, they will press on them until you break. So why would you hand people the keys to your own destruction? The strongest version of yourself learns to live behind a veil. You show only what benefits you. You reveal only what strengthens your image. Your true thoughts, your true plans, these remain locked away, invisible, untouchable. Learn to be unpredictable. Learn to be unreadable. People cannot destroy what they cannot define. And when they cannot define you, you become dangerous. But here is the beauty of this rule. By withholding, you create mystery. And mystery is magnetic. The human mind cannot tolerate a vacuum. When people don't know what you think, They obsess over you. They replay your words. They dissect your silences. They search for clues you never left. In this way, secrecy doesn't just protect you, it makes you irresistible. People will fill the gaps in their knowledge with their own imagination, often giving you far more credit than you deserve. Let them. It is better to be feared for what they imagine than to be despised for what you reveal. This is why Machiavelli warned leaders never to reveal everything at once. A king who shows his entire arsenal is already predictable, but a king who conceals, who surprises, who keeps the court guessing, that king never loses his grip on power. The third ruthless rule is to embrace conflict. Weak men run from confrontation. They fear offending others. They fear rejection. They fear tension in the air. But tension is where true strength is forged. If you avoid conflict, you become invisible. You become forgettable. Worse, you become easy to manipulate, because those who fear conflict can always be controlled by the threat of it. The strongest version of yourself is not someone who seeks out unnecessary battles, but someone who does not flinch when they arrive. You must be willing to stand your ground, to defend your position, to let others feel the sharp edges of your will. Conflict reveals character. When you hold steady while others collapse under pressure, you announce that you are not to be underestimated. And once people see that you cannot be shaken, they think twice before challenging you again. But there's a deeper layer. Conflict is not just defense, it's opportunity. Every confrontation is a stage, and if you play it correctly, you don't just win the fight, you elevate your status. Imagine two men disagreeing in front of a crowd. One loses his composure, raises his voice, throws insults. The other remains calm, measured, decisive. Which one looks stronger? Which one do the onlookers respect? By mastering conflict, you do not just win battles, you win minds. And in the game of power, perception is reality. Remember, the world doesn't remember who was right. It remembers who appeared strong. The fourth rule is control your emotions, or more accurately, weaponize them. The average man is a slave to his emotions. He is dragged by anger, broken by sadness, clouded by jealousy. His life is not his own. It is dictated by the chaos within him. But you are not here to be average. You are here to be ruthless. And ruthlessness requires control. It requires that you feel anger, but not act on it until it serves you. That you feel desire, but not allow it to betray your judgment. That you feel fear, but not display it where others can see. Emotions are not your enemy. Uncontrolled emotions are. Once you master them, emotions become tools. Anger becomes intensity. Fear becomes caution. Desire becomes motivation. And coldness, yes, coldness becomes your shield. People who cannot control their emotions are puppets. One insult and they dance. One rejection and they collapse. One temptation and they betray themselves. But the strongest version of yourself moves through chaos like a stone in a river. Untouched, unmoved, unbroken. This doesn't mean you suppress your emotions. Suppression is weakness in disguise. It means you channel them, redirect them, hold them in your palm like fire you can release at the perfect moment. Machiavelli taught that rulers must be both lion and fox, ferocious when needed, cunning when required. But neither the lion nor the fox wastes energy on displays that achieve nothing. Remember this, emotional self-control is not just strength, it is freedom. Because the man who controls his emotions cannot be controlled by anyone else. The fifth ruthless rule is to cultivate Scarcity. What is abundant is ignored. What is rare is worshipped. And most people live as if their time, their attention, their energy are worthless. They give it to anyone who asks. They are always available, always eager, always chasing, and in doing so, they lower their value in the eyes of everyone around them. But the strongest version of yourself understands that scarcity creates power. When you make your presence rare, when you make your words rare, when you make your approval rare, people begin to crave it. They begin to see you as higher value, because humans are wired to desire what they cannot easily have. Do not be constantly accessible. Do not overexpose yourself. Let people miss you. Let them wonder where you are. Let them earn the right to stand in your presence. Just as gold derives its value from scarcity, so too does your energy. But scarcity also applies to your actions. Do not fight every battle. Do not chase every opportunity. Do not give everyone your attention. Focus only where the reward is great and the outcome strengthens you. A sword that strikes everywhere dulls quickly. A sword that strikes rarely, but with precision, terrifies all who see it. Learn to withdraw. Learn to disappear. Learn to let others come to you. In the court of power, it is better to be sought after than to be ignored. And when you create scarcity around yourself, you transform into someone who is never taken for granted. The sixth and final rule of part 1 is this: embrace the mask. Human beings are actors, whether they admit it or not. The strongest man knows that authenticity is not always revealing every thought, every feeling, every truth. Authenticity is alignment with your higher self, not your weaker impulses. If you revealed everything you thought at every moment, you would destroy yourself. So, instead, you wear a mask. Not a mask of lies, but a mask of strategy. You present the version of yourself that gets you closer to your goals. In public, you project strength even when you feel doubt. You project control even when you feel chaos. You project certainty even when the ground shakes beneath you, because perception creates reality. People do not follow the man who admits he is lost. They follow the man who appears to know the way. But the mask is not deception, it is discipline. It is not about becoming someone fake. It is about becoming the version of yourself that cannot be broken. The mask reminds you of who you are becoming, and over time, the mask fuses with your true self. You no longer pretend, you embody. This is why Machiavelli advised leaders to appear merciful, honest, and religious, even if in reality they were ruthless and cunning. Because appearances rule the world. People do not want truth. They want the comfort of appearances. And if you are wise, you will give them what they want while securing what you need. That is the way of the strong. That is the way of those who rise above the masses so far. You have learned 6 ruthless rules for becoming the strongest version of yourself. Rules that most men will never accept because they are addicted to comfort, addicted to approval, addicted to weakness. But you are different. You are ready to step beyond morality into strategy. You are ready to see the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. Remember these truths, embody them, live them, and prepare yourself for the second half of this path. We'll take you even deeper into the mind of Machiavelli, where strength becomes destiny, and destiny bows to no one. The 7th ruthless rule is to master perception. Understand this: the world is not ruled by truth, but by appearances. What people believe is often more powerful than what is real. You may be strong, but if people perceive you as weak, they will treat you as weak. You may be intelligent, But if people perceive you as foolish, they will dismiss you. Power is not about what you are, it is about what others see. That is why Machiavelli insisted that rulers must cultivate an image that commands respect, even fear. Appearances can shield you, appearances can elevate you, appearances can deceive your enemies long enough for you to strike. Never forget, perception is reality. If you appear confident, others will believe you are. If you appear untouchable, others will hesitate to challenge you. People cannot read your mind. They can only read the signals you project. So, learn to control those signals. Every gesture, every word, every silence, all of it paints the picture that others will live by. This doesn't mean you live in constant performance, pretending endlessly. It means you take responsibility for how you are seen. If you don't control your image, someone else will. They will twist your narrative, distort your reputation, and rob you of your strength. But when you take control of perception, when you dictate the story people tell about you, you hold a power few can touch. The strongest version of yourself is not careless with his image. He crafts it, polishes it, sharpens it like a sword. Because in the game of power, your reputation is often the first strike. Guard it with your life. The 8th ruthless rule is to cultivate strategic alliances, but never trust them fully. Machiavelli taught that allies are useful, but they are never loyal. People act in their own interests, and they will betray you the moment it benefits them. To become the strongest version of yourself, you must understand this harsh truth. Loyalty is temporary, but usefulness can be eternal. Do not seek friends who make you comfortable. Seek allies who make you powerful. Surround yourself with those who bring resources, connections, influence, but never allow yourself to depend on them completely. The more you depend on someone, the more power they have over you. Keep every alliance balanced. Give just enough that they value the connection, but never so much that they can destroy you if they turn. And here's the dark part. Sometimes, you must betray before you are betrayed. If an alliance becomes a chain around your neck, if it begins to limit your growth, cut it off before it strangles you, cold. Yes, but the strongest version of yourself is not chained to sentiment. He understands that alliances are tools, not bonds. Respect them, use them, but never worship them. A man who places loyalty above strength will be destroyed by those who never intended to remain loyal in the first place. Be kind if it serves you, but be ruthless when it protects you. In the end, the man who fears betrayal the least is the one who cannot be enslaved by it. The 9th ruthless rule is to anticipate betrayal. Betrayal is not an accident, it is inevitable. It is the nature of human beings to act in their self-interest. Friends will envy you, allies will resent you. Even family may undermine you when your success threatens their comfort. Most men are crushed when betrayal arrives because they never expected it. But the strongest version of yourself is never surprised. He sees it coming. He watches the shifting tones, the delayed responses, the sudden silence in conversations. He reads the signs, and because he expects betrayal, he is never unprepared. When others fall into despair after being deceived, he simply adjusts as if it was already written. Because it was, here lies the deeper truth. Betrayal strengthens you if you allow it. Every betrayal strips away your illusions. It reminds you that the world is not safe, that people are not always what they seem, that comfort is poison. Betrayal forces you to sharpen your instincts, to become less naive, to move through life with open eyes. Machiavelli himself said it clearly. Men are ungrateful, fickle, liars, and deceivers. To expect otherwise is to set yourself up for destruction, but to expect betrayal, to prepare for it, to use it as a lesson, that is to transform it into power. Remember this. The knife in your back can either kill you or carve you into something indestructible. The choice is yours. The 10th ruthless rule is to cultivate adaptability. The strongest version of yourself is not rigid. He is not trapped by ideology, by routine, by the fear of change. He flows like water, taking the shape of whatever container the world places him in, yet never losing his essence. Machiavelli admired the fox as much as the lion because cunning, flexibility, and subtlety often outmaneuver brute force. Adaptability is not weakness, it is survival at its highest form. The man who adapts bends but does not break. He shifts strategies, changes his mask, alters his approach, all while keeping his ultimate goal untouched. You must be willing to shed your skin as many times as it takes to rise. Think about this. The world is changing faster than ever. Power shifts, cultures shift, technology shifts. If you remain stuck, clinging to old methods, you will be crushed by those who moved ahead. But if you adapt, if you remain fluid, you cannot be cornered. A rigid branch snaps in the storm. A flexible one sways and survives. This is not about abandoning your core values. It is about refusing to be predictable, refusing to be trapped by the expectations of others. The ruthless man is never stagnant. He evolves, and in doing so, he becomes untouchable. The 11th ruthless rule is to strike first when the time is right. Too many men live in hesitation. They wait for opportunities. They wait for permission. They wait until it is safe. But the truth is, safety never comes. Opportunities are taken, not given, and hesitation is the silent killer of strength. Machiavelli knew this. Fortune favors the bold, but more importantly, it favors the prepared. To become the strongest version of yourself, you must train yourself to act decisively, to strike before others expect it. When hesitation paralyzes the crowd, your action sets you apart. People remember the man who moves with certainty. They forget the one who stood still. But striking first does not mean recklessness. It means preparation. It means studying your opponent so deeply that you know their moves before they make them. It means being so aware of your environment that you see openings others are blind to. And when the opening appears, you move swiftly, ruthlessly, without apology. This is the difference between the predator and the prey. The predator waits for the perfect moment, then attacks with precision. The prey hesitates, questions, doubts, and becomes dinner. Remember this. In life, hesitation is death. Strike first, and the world will never mistake you for prey again. The 12th and final ruthless rule is to embrace necessity. This is the ultimate principle of Machiavelli, the truth that underpins all others. Do what must be done, not what feels good, not what looks virtuous, not what makes others comfortable. What is necessary. Weak men destroy themselves by clinging to ideals that reality does not respect. They cling to the idea that life is fair, that people are good, that virtue is rewarded. And then they collapse when the world shows them otherwise. The strongest version of yourself accepts necessity, even when it is cruel. Sometimes you must cut ties. Sometimes you must walk alone. Sometimes you must endure pain, sacrifice, comfort, embrace solitude. Strength is born in necessity. Greatness is carved from the willingness to do what others cannot. This does not mean abandoning morality entirely. It means understanding that morality without strength is meaningless. Virtue without power is ignored. The man who does what is necessary shapes the world around him, while the man who clings to ideals becomes a casualty of it. To embrace necessity is to live with clarity. You see what must be done, and you do it. No excuses, no hesitation, no self-pity. That is the final transformation. That is the point at which you are no longer merely surviving, but commanding life itself. So now you have heard all 12 ruthless rules. They are not easy. They will not make you popular. They will not make you comfortable, but they will make you powerful. They will make you respected. They will make you the strongest version of yourself. The question is, are you willing to pay the price? Most men will hear these truths and retreat because they are addicted to weakness. But you are still here. You have listened, absorbed, endured, and that alone sets you apart. Now it is time to choose. Will you walk forward into strength, or will you sink back into mediocrity? The answer lies not in what you say, but in what you do next.